highest regards.
The Senate then proceeded into an executive session. After about 2 hours behind closed doors, the Senate then reconvened and resolved to invite the service chiefs next week over the spate of insecurity in the country.
The Senate notes with sadness the rising spate of killings, kidnappings, banditry, and other criminal activities in the nation. Senate further notes the recent killings in Okokolo, Abuge, Ochi, Tonya communities in Agata local government area of Benue State, which led to loss of lives, including security personnel and wanton destruction of properties, as well as the brutal killings of 11 residents of Mbanyank community of Logo local government area of Benue State. Senate equally notes the various kidnappings within the Federal Capital Territory where victims have been killed after collecting ransom. Senate is also aware of several cases of kidnappings all over the country where huge ransoms have been paid and several of the victims still got killed. Senate also is aware that the recent killing of 2 traditional rulers in Ekiti State and the abduction of primary school pupils in Emure Ekiti have further aggravated the level of insecurity in the country. Senate notes the unfortunate bomb explosion at Bodija, Ibadan, in Oyo State, where not less than 5 lives were lost and several residential houses, schools, hotels, religious worship centers were destroyed. The Senate equally notes the killings of several residents of Mango Bokos and Barkin Ladi communities in Plateau State. Our prayer that the Senate do invoke the earlier resolutions to invite the security chiefs for an interactive session with the Senate with a view to resolving the insecurity that is plaguing the country. And 2, that the Senate do observe a minute silence in honor of the departed.
On behalf of the 109 senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and seconded by the minority leader, in respect of the security situation in the country, particularly kidnappings, murder, banditry, and of course, unnecessarily, the killing of people even after collection of ransom, and the fact that people have turned it into a merchandise where middlemen are now collecting money from victims. And the Senate has also noted the bomb explosion at Bodija in Ibadan in Oyo State that led to loss of lives and properties. Several residential houses, schools, hotels, religious and worship centers were destroyed. The Senate has also noted the killings of several residents of Bango, Bokos, and Boko Ladi communities in Plateau State, and is asking that the Senate do invoke its area resolution to invite the security chiefs for an inquisitive session with a view to resolving the insecurity that is plaguing the entire country at the moment. May the the souls of all the victims who have departed through ritual killings, kidnappings, banditry, insurgency, and other forms of insecurity in our dear country in the recent past, rest in perfect peace.
At the close of plenary, Senator Adamu Aleoro gave more insight on the Senate's decisions.
This is not the first time we're inviting the service chiefs, but I assure you that this one is going to be with a difference in the sense that we are going to talk to them individually. We are going to have interactive session with each and every service chief to discuss on the security situation in the country, the resurgence of Boko Haram in the northeast, particularly the landmines that have been planted by Boko Haram, and this has never happened before. There was a landmine that exploded, resulted into the killing of over 20 people. The just crisis, we discussed about it just before we went on recess. Unfortunately, it is coming back again. We heard about what happened in Ekiti. We heard about what happened in Benue State. So the situation is bad. The security situation is alarming. And we just have to do whatever we can to ensure that Nigeria is secured. We are very disturbed. Without security, nothing can happen. And that's why each and every senator will speak about what's happening in his constituency when the service chiefs come. And we will demand for immediate solution to the problems. We have done all we can to give them support. The government has submitted supplementary budget for the service chiefs or for the security agencies. We graciously approved all what the government has proposed, and Mr. President has released the funds to them. There is no excuse for non-performance. And we, as the representative of the people, we have the responsibility to ask the security agents why is the security situation, exacerbating every day, increasing every day.
Meanwhile, in the House of Representatives, it was also the first plenary of the year.
Order, please.
The Speaker began with an address specifically on the state of the nation.
On the economic front, our country continues to grapple with numerous hurdles that impede our growth trajectory. Inflation, unemployment, and infrastructural deficits are issues that touch the core of our people's lives. The continuous depreciation of the naira has far-reaching consequences, given that Nigeria relies heavily on imports for many essential items, including fuel and machinery. Yet, amidst these challenges, there are signs of resilience and potentials. The President's economic policies aim at revitalizing key sectors, promoting sustainable growth, and fostering inclusive development are steps in the right direction. We in the legislature must align our efforts with the executive to ensure that these initiatives are effectively implemented and yield tangible results for every Nigerian.
The security situation was a major concern for the Speaker, who wants the President to go tougher.
Indeed, the time has come for the President to demand greater performance and accountability from our service chiefs and all security and enforcement agencies. I implore the President not to shy away from making the tough decisions. If necessary, we must not hesitate to enact changes within our security apparatus for the cost of inaction if inaction is far too great to bear. In light of these challenges, I propose convening a National Legislative Security Summit. This summit will serve as a crucible for ideas where stakeholders from diverse sectors will forge enduring solutions to our security woes.
The matters of urgent national importance that follow further buttress the need for urgent action against insecurity, as the spokesperson of the House is moved to tears over the murder of two traditional rulers in Ekiti State by suspected kidnappers on the 29th of January.
The House recognizes that the entire people of Imojo in Oye local government and Esu in Ikole local government and the entire state have been thrown into mourning on account of the loss of our highly revered traditional rulers who were forces for community development, peace and stability in the constituency and the entire state.
In the meantime, to prevent agitation and breakdown of law and order in the South-South, Honorable Rodney Ambowe is calling on the federal government to urgently contain all spillage in Bayelsa State.
The House disturbed that the referenced oil fields does not only constitute one of the largest deep water operations in Nigeria, it also covers a large swath of southern Niger coastal waters. The volume of the damage recorded since 3rd of January 2024 until date, if not quickly arrested, will cause further damage to the waters and their content, leading to a near annihilation of aquatic lives, which is the only source of livelihood of the Middletown communities and southern Niger coastal communities.
Both chambers of the National Assembly adjourned plenary on Tuesday for a week.
House of Representatives resumed sitting on Wednesday despite the suspension of plenary for a week. The Public Accounts Committee continued its investigation of the COVID-19 funds released to ministries, departments and agencies. Members of the committee were furious that the Federal Fire Service had shunned its invitation for a third time to explain how it spent COVID-19 funds.
The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria clearly states that all ministries, departments and agencies of government shall, I repeat, shall be subject to summons by the Public Accounts Committee to come and verify their spending. And I am sure all the people in the Federal Fire Service are Nigerians, and they swore by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So on this note, Chairman, I want to take the leave of my colleagues to send a strong message to the Federal Fire Service that this is the final and last summons we've given them, and we should take the necessary action against the Federal Fire Service.
Federal Fire Service were given invitations for the third time, and they didn't appear. Others had 2 invitations, and for us and for me, I feel we have exhausted all the chances necessary for this agency. Therefore, I want to advise and call on this honorable committee that in the form of a motion that Federal Fire Service should refund to the coffers of the government, to CRF, the sum of 1.4 billion naira to Consolidated Revenue Fund, being monies released for COVID-19 intervention, because they did not appear here to tell us, to tell this committee that they have actually utilized this fund that were released to them.
The accounting officer of the Federal Fire Service of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is hereby ordered to refund the monies released as COVID intervention fund in 2020-2021, 1.4 billion naira to the Federation account within 7 days and provide evidence of such refund to the Public Accounts Committee.
This is not the first agency that's been asked to refund the COVID-19 allocation for failing to honor the invitation of the Public Accounts Committee, and lawmakers fear that lack of accountability and disregard for Parliament is fast becoming a culture among government employees. Meanwhile, the Committee on Customs met with the Comptroller General of Customs as they focused on issues around improving revenue generation, illicit trade, and the impact of e-customs.
The congestion of the nation's seaports is planned to ensure that we have efficient and effective port operation which at the end would guarantee more revenue.
We are eager to learn about the impact of this e-customs modernization, the number of scanners deployed and functional, and the integration of artificial intelligence in our border stations.
In the meantime, the House Committee on Constitution Amendment has held its inaugural meeting. The committee chairman, Deputy Speaker of the House, Benjamin Kalu, drew attention to the number of bills so far received.
The twin challenge of insecurity and economic difficulties could tamper with the confidence of our citizens. It is therefore our constitutional responsibility